This is Jarrod Horak, and in this video, I'm going to analyze the Grade 3 Nashville Derby at Kentucky Downs on Saturday, August 30th. And I'm going to be covering some other handicapping videos on my channel later this week. I'm going to be doing the Pacific Classic at Del Mar and the Jockey Club Gold Cup at Saratoga, plus my Del Mar Horse of the Day videos that I do each day that Del Mar runs. So check out that action later this week, but we'll concentrate on the Nashville Derby in this video. And it goes as the 10th race. Grade 3, $3.5 million event for 3-year-olds, a mile and 5/16 on the turf course. Scheduled post time is 5:46 p.m. Eastern Time, and we'll look at the track profile from last year at Kentucky Downs at this 10.5 furlong distance, and they ran 9 races, and none of the horses went wire to wire. So none of the winners were able to wire the field of the most effective running style, horses stalking the pace. So we're looking for those horses right behind the early leaders and getting a jump on the deep closers. And we will begin our analysis with number 1, Hill Road. This one is 6-1 on the line for trainer Chad Brown. Tyler Gaffalione's going to ride. He rode this horse once previously. This horse began his career on turf in Ireland, and then a 1-mile turf race in his debut last August. He won that race by 5 lengths, defeating 10 horses. Second time out, they put him in a Group 1 race at 7 furlongs on turf, and he was 7th in an 8-horse field. Then they shipped him to this country. He ran in the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He got no pace help. He rallied from last in a 10-horse field to finish 3rd behind Citizen Bull and Gaming. They were both up on the pace for trainer Bob Baffert, and at 61-1, Hill Road rallied nicely to finish 3rd. They put blinkers on. He moved to the Chad Brown barn this year, and he ended up rallying to finish 3rd in a paceless event in the Grade 3 Tampa Bay Derby. And Owen Almighty won that one. Chancellor McPatrick, Hill Road's stablemate, was 2nd, so Hill Road did okay, finishing 3rd there. And then in the Grade 3 Peter Pan Stakes at Aqueduct, that was on May 10th, he rallied from 8th place in a 9-horse field to win that race by 3/4 of a length over McAfee, and Captain Cook was 3rd. And then he was overmatched in his last couple starts. The Grade 1 Belmont Stakes, he was 14-1. He ran into Sovereignty, Journalism, and Baeza. He was 5th in that 8-horse field. Last time out in the Grade 2 Jim Dandy, he ran into Sovereignty and Baeza, and he was well behind those two, just getting up to finish 3rd, beaten 10 lengths. So he's moving back to the turf course. He has nice late pace ratings. He should save ground behind the speed, and he will get involved in the late going. Number 2 is Test Score, and he is 4-1 morning line for trainer Graham Motion. Manny Franco is going to ride this one. He's consistent. He's had 9 career starts, 3 wins, 3 seconds, and 2/3. So all of those races were on turf, and he was right there in most of those starts. So you know you're going to get a good run from this one. And he has that good tactical speed. I mentioned horses with that stalking speed. Well, he has that stalking speed. He's able to keep the leaders in his sights, and he owns some decent late pace ratings as well. So that combination of him being able to stalk the pace and finish should give him a good shot in this race. And horses that can save ground and having that kind of running style can also do well. So Test Score should do well in this event. He won the Grade 1 Belmont Derby at a mile and an 1/8 on turf. That was at Saratoga on the 4th of July. And then last time on August 2nd, 3rd, beaten a half length in the Grade 1 Saratoga Derby at a mile and 3/16 on turf. 3rd start after a layoff. It looks like he can run all day. Solid contender in here. Number 3, King of Ashes. This one is 30-1 morning line, and he could be the one to catch for trainer Brendan Walsh because he's putting blinkers on in here. There's not a lot of front end speed in this event, and he's one that's capable of going to the front like he did in an allowance race at a mile and 3/16 on turf at Keeneland in the spring, where he had the lead by 2 lengths in the stretch, but he couldn't hold it. He finished 2nd, beaten 3/4 of a length. And then he was 2nd, beaten the neck after stalking the pace and leading. That was in the Audubon Stakes at a mile and an 1/8. And they were going okay there, 47 and change, 111 and change. Those kind of fractions will certainly put him on the front end in this race, and I don't think they're going to be going that fast in here. Then last time out, optional claiming event, he rallied from off the pace there. So putting blinkers on, 2nd start after a layoff, I'm expecting him to show improved early speed under Ben Curtis. Number 4, Tomasello. This one is for trainer Mark Cassie, and he's 20-1 morning line. Fernando de la Cruz is going to ride. Another consistent one here. 8 career starts, 7 of 8 in the top 3. And he's finished in the top 3 in all 5 of his turf starts, including 3 victories. A victory last time out. He was in a preview stakes event for this at Ellis Park last time at a mile in an eighth, and he was able to sit in second and win that event. So he'll be forwardly placed in here at a price. Number 5, Burnham Square. This one's interesting, switching surfaces for trainer Ian Wilkes, but typically Ian Wilkes doesn't do well with horses moving over to the turf, but I do like the pedigree here for that. First on turf, Ian Wilkes is 6%, horses moving from dirt to turf with 91 starters and 3% wins. So not strong angles here for him, but he does have a nice pedigree because his dam Linda was a graded stakes winner on turf, and that horse was a winner at Kentucky Downs as well. And this is a tricky oval to handle for some horses. Brian Hernandez Jr. will ride. This one won the Holy Bull Stakes earlier this year. Then he was 4th in the Fountain of Youth behind Sovereignty. He won the Bluegrass Stakes going last to first, just catching East Avenue there by a nose. And then in his next start in the Kentucky Derby, he was a troubled 6th. In the Matt Winn Stakes, he didn't get any pace help. East Avenue controlled the pace. He missed by a half length. And then in the Haskell, he was too far back early, never got seriously involved. 5th in an 8-horse field. Journalism, Gosker, and goal-oriented were well ahead of the rest. So now Burnham Square has been working well at the Skylight Training Center in Louisville, Kentucky for this event, and look for him to be rallying from off the pace, but he has shown at least some positional speed like he did in the Matt Winn when there wasn't a lot of pace. And even in the Holy Bull, he did rally from last, but he was only 5 lengths back. So I don't think he's going to be last. I think he'll be more mid-pack in this event. Number 6 is Simulate, and this one's 10-1 morning line for trainer Bill Mott. Junior Alvarado's going to ride, and he's one that I think might be able to handle this longer distance. Kitten's Joy, the sire, Warfront, the dam sire. So he's got a nice pedigree, and he's doing well in these turf routes. He did break his maiden in a turf route. Second time out, that was last year at Saratoga, and he went wire to wire from the inside post that day. His first start this year, he was 4th in a 10-horse field at Delaware Park. Then he improved. Second start after a layoff to win an optional claiming event at Saratoga at a mile and a 16th. Then they went to Colonial Downs for the Grade 2 Secretariat last time. That was a slow early, fast late event. Giacoso was able to work out that tactical trip and hold off Simulate by a length, and he earned the best late pace rating in the field that day. And they, as I said, they weren't going fast. They're not going to be going fast in here as well, but he's versatile. As I said, he broke his maiden going wire to wire. He stalked and scored, and then he closed last time. So they can kind of place him anywhere they want. Number 7 is Tiztastic. He's 20-1 morning line for trainer Steve Asmussen. The thing to like most about this horse is, one, he's a graded stakes winner, but that was on dirt in the Grade 2 Louisiana Derby. Since then, he hasn't run well, including last place finishes in back-to-back stakes races on turf. But the other thing to like about him, he's 2 for 2 at Kentucky Downs. And I mentioned that this turf course is tricky to handle for some horses. So we know he likes Kentucky Downs. He is a graded stakes winner. I don't think the distance is going to give him any trouble. He's just going to have to run much better than he did in the American Derby and the Saratoga Derby in his last couple. The 8 is Sandman. He's going to switch surfaces in here, and the dam has produced 2 turf winners. This is a $1.2 million son of Tappet, and he's 3 for 11 overall with a second and 3 third-place finishes. He's banked almost $1.5 million. And Jose Ortiz is going to ride. He's removing blinkers after putting blinkers on in the Jim Dandy and finishing last of 5. Now, he's fairly consistent in these stakes races, at least on the main track. In the Grade 3 Street Sense, Sovereignty defeated him there. Tiztastic just did finish in front of him last year. And then he was hitting the board in some stakes races on the road to the Kentucky Derby earlier this year. In the Grade 3 Southwest, he rallied to finish 2nd. The Grade 2 Rebel Stakes, he rallied to finish 3rd. I made him my top choice in the Arkansas Derby, and he got all kinds of pace help there, and he rallied to win that event. The Kentucky Derby, he was 7th in a 19-horse field. Nothing wrong with that effort. That was okay from post 15. Preakness was after that. And in the Preakness, he rallied from last place to finish 3rd there, well clear of the rest of the field. Journalism and Gosker were 1 and 2, were 1st and 2nd. They came back and finished 1st and 2nd in the Haskell. As I mentioned, his Jim Dandy was disappointing last time. So then they worked him on turf, his last couple works. They're going to put him in this big, rich turf race and a $3.5 million purse, and he'll try to get involved late. Number 9 is Noble Confessor for Todd Pletcher. Irad Ortiz Jr. is going to ride, and he broke his maiden on turf in his 7th lifetime start last time out. Now, he's one that they were putting him in, when he was a maiden, they were putting him in stakes races on turf. The Grade 2 Pilgrim, he just missed graduating. Zulu Kingdom defeated him by a neck last year. The Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, he split a 12-horse field, and he was only beaten 2 1/4 lengths. Then they put him in a maiden turf route. His first start this year, he stuck the pace as the heavy favorite. It was a slower pace. It wasn't a bad effort. He ended up finishing second. And then in the Pennine Ridge Stakes, that was in the mud. He was fourth, beaten 14 lengths, and then they got him back into that maiden race last time, a mile and 3/16, and he was able to control the pace. They were going slow, 49-4, 114-1. He was the 3-2 favorite. He graduated by a half length. Stepping back up in class and most likely stalking the pace in here. Number 10 is Maximum Promise. This one for trainer Kenny McPeak, and he's 30-1 morning line with Luis Saez. Now, they've tried him on different surfaces. His turf in his debut from post 12, he finished 5th. And second time out, they put him on dirt. He broke his maiden by 14 lengths at Ellis Park. Then he was in the slop. He ended up finishing in the Lecomte Stakes, that Grade 3 Kentucky Derby prep, 5th, beaten 2 lengths. And then the John Battaglia Memorial, that was on all-weather ground. He finished 3rd there. They kept him on all-weather ground. The Jeff Ruby Stakes, final Gambit won that one. He's in this event. And this one ended up finishing 3rd from post 10. Then they put him back on turf in the American turf last time. He was 10th in a 14-horse field. So I'm not sure which surface he wants to be on. And he's probably, he is 30-1, and maybe he deserves to be a price in here. I'm not quite sure what we're going to get from him. Final Gambit, he's one that he's just been getting going too late. He's 8-1 morning line. Florent Giroux is his new rider. Now, he really made a progress over the winter on all-weather ground, so that seems to be his best surface. When he gets on those synthetic surfaces, he produces a nice kick. 3 starts with 2 wins and a second at Turfway Park on their all-weather surface, including a victory in the Grade 3 Jeff Ruby Stakes. That made him eligible for the Kentucky Derby, and he put in a nice run in the slop. In a 19-horse field, he rallied from 19th to finish 4th there behind Sovereignty, Journalism, and Baeza. That was a promising effort, but since then, he hasn't done much. The Grade 3 Matt Winn Stakes on dirt, 4-horse field, he was last throughout. That race did not set up for him. He's a closer. He needs pace help. Then they put him in the Belmont Derby on turf, 5th, beaten 2 lengths in a 7-horse field. That was a mile and an eighth. And then last time, a mile and 3/16, the Grade 1 Saratoga Derby on turf. He was 5th, beaten 2 3/4 lengths in a 9-horse field. So I think this 10.5 furlong distance is certainly going to help him. The longer, the better for this one. But he's going to have to produce a bigger late kick because he just hasn't been able to get there in the late going in his last couple turf starts. But you can't blame him for taking a shot in here. $3.5 million purse. And he's going to be running on late, but I don't know that this race is going to set up for him because it does seem to lack front end speed. Number 12, Wimbledon Hawkeye. This one is 7-2 morning line, so he's your morning line favorite in here. Frankie Dettori's going to ride. Consistent overseas runner with 11 starts, 2 wins, 4 seconds, and 3/3. So he's usually thereabouts. He's placed in some group races, and one of them was the Grade 2 Princess of Wales. In that Group 2 event at a mile and a half on turf, El Cordobas defeated him there. So he was second, so he was a 3-year-old taking on older. That was only a 4-horse field, but El Cordobas did come to this country and win the Grade 1 Sword Dancer for trainer Charles Appleby at Saratoga earlier this summer. So he faced a good horse there. And then in his last start, a mile and a half in a Group 3 event at Goodwood, he missed by a nose. So we'll see what we can get from this one from the outside post. That's going to be the biggest obstacle for jockey Frankie Dettori to be able to work out a trip from post 12 in here. Then we have 2 also eligibles. Number 13, Iron Hand. Number 14 is Native Runner. So we'll see if one of those 2 will get in if we get a scratch. And my top choice in here, I am going to go, as I mentioned, just based on how this track profile is, horses that show that stalking speed do well, and test score number 2 is going to be my top choice because I can see him working out the right trip in here. He's one that should be right behind the speed. He should get the jump on the closers, and I like horses that have that stalking speed that can save some ground, and then they have a decent finishing kick as well. And test score checks all those boxes. So I think he's a graded winner. He's a grade 1 winner. Should work out a good trip. He's consistent, and I just trust him to run a solid race in here. So my top 4 in this Nashville Derby, the 2, 6, 12, and 1. So don't forget to like, comment, and share these videos if you like them. Subscribe to my channel as well. It's free to subscribe. We just went over 7,000 subscribers recently, so let's keep this channel going. And if you're interested in my full card analysis, you'll find my full cards at therunawayhorse.com on my shop page. I offer full cards each day that Del Mar runs. And then this fall, I'm going to be doing the autumn meet at Santa Anita. And then I'm going to be doing the fall meet after that at Del Mar when they run their Bing Crosby meet. And that's the Breeders' Cup meet as well. I'm going to be doing my annual Breeders' Cup full cards as well. So you'll find my full card schedule at therunawayhorse.com on my shop page, and I will include a link to that shop page in the video description below. And until I see you next time, good luck at the races.